When you're having a busy day, do you like taking a quick break? And do you like learning new skills? This is the Growth Mindset podcast. If you don't like learning skills, you might be in the wrong place. However, when learning a skill, do you sometimes try things like playing guitar or doing a handstand and just make a complete mess instantly and wonder when on earth you'll make time to actually learn this skill and put it off? Well, this episode is for you. Hello and welcome to the Growth Mindset podcast. Today is a special episode because I'm diving back 3 years into the archives to dig out one of the first episodes that I recorded by myself. I was recently asked in an interview what the best 3 mindset lessons I've learned from running this show for 6 years. And one of them was this concept of taking a skill break because it completely changes your mindset on doing difficult things. And it breaks it down into digestible, manageable chunks without you having to go to any big ordeal in planning things. You can just kind of get started and improving. And I had this idea when I was living in Israel for 3 months and I had a lot of time to myself to think. And I was also working on a coding bootcamp and rather envious of my friends that went and took smoking breaks. And the concept I called a life hack at the time, which is a word I'm not so keen on these days. But the point is that this idea makes something that used to be hard, easier to do, and generally just makes your life better. So without further ado, this concept is my favorite life hack of 2019, but it's still really relevant today. And it's very much part of the reason that I'm going to be having a super fun 2023 with 10 world records planned and a bunch of other cool stuff. So enjoy the episode. A thing that I've called a skill break. This comes from the idea that people used to have smoking breaks and still do if they smoke, but not so many people smoke these days. And I was always quite envious of people that had a smoking break in that they kind of just got to go and have a break every 1 or 2 hours and stand outside for 5 and 10 minutes and think about life, the world, have a conversation, just let their mind like reset a bit and get back to work feeling a bit more energized and things. And was like, well, why can't I have a break? And I was a bit envious. And obviously the actual smoking part was never that interesting for me. So I didn't want to do that, but I did want to, have a break. And so I thought, well, why can't I do something else as a break instead? And so I decided, well, I could have like a skill break. And this relates to my top life hack for 2018, which was learning to touch type, which you just need to dedicate for doing 10 minutes a day. And then after a month or two, suddenly you can type a lot faster and you don't have to think about it. It just kind of happens. And so after the success of that, I thought, well, why don't I do something else with these 10 minutes that I've been using regularly? And so I actually wanted to get away from the computer a bit more. So I thought, well, I've wanted to learn to juggle, and I've always been really jealous of people that are really good at skipping with a skipping rope. And it's actually a really good form of exercise, especially jumping up and down. If you do it for 10, 15 minutes, that's actually not bad. And it can be kind of hard work on your hands. If you use a heavier rope, your heart rate goes up a lot, your arms hurt, and it just works on like your motor skills. And it's a chance to chill out for 10 minutes if you're in the middle of work. So I was like, okay, I'll force myself to have these like skill breaks. I'm going to learn how to skip and I'm going to learn how to juggle. And I'm just going to do them both for 10 minutes every day and dedicate to that. So I started doing that 2 months ago, and now I can juggle okay and I can skip quite well. I can do like tricks and things. And that's really, really cool. It's really useful to have the break and actually just let my mind go do something completely different. And it's really nice to actually get good at something that often takes a while to learn. You just never get around to it. And so it's become my top life hack. And it's something I think I'm just going to continue doing forever. It might not always be juggling and skipping, but it's going to be something that I can just always be learning and improving at. And so I think I really want to learn how to handstand, maybe like solve a Rubik's Cube. It turns out like memory things are actually just take some regular practice. So might learn how to read a pack of cards. It's possible. Maybe it takes more than a month, perhaps takes a year. But the point is, if you just go and do it for 10 minutes a day, it happens. And if you schedule it into your like normal day somewhere to have a break and go learn something, it's really not a sacrifice at all. But there's just the consistency of doing it every day is insane, and it makes cool stuff happen. So that's basically my top life hack. And why it's so good is that it really helps you break through the initial barrier of not being able to do it. So trying to learn to juggle, for example, or skip is quite challenging in some ways in that you have to go through a whole period of being really crap at it. If you try to juggle, you just drop all your balls immediately. And when you haven't really got an end point or something, you just do it for like 30 seconds and then stop and go, wow, I can't do that. Sure, you might try and do it for a while, once or twice. And if you do it for 10 minutes, that's cool. But you still don't actually get any good after 10 minutes. But if you just say, right, I'm setting a timer. I'm going to do this for 10 minutes. And I'm going to do this every day. It's not a big sacrifice. And you quickly do start to get better without it being too painful. The normal amount of pain you could do is maybe like 2 or 3 minutes of being crap at it and you wouldn't stop. But if you just set the 10 minutes, you can do it and it doesn't seem too bad. And so you get through this like initial barrier that just stops people from doing so many things. So whether it's juggling or whatever interests you, it's enough time to actually improve and short enough for you to be able to commit to doing it. So it's like the perfect level of motivation. I felt like, yeah, you can really learn whatever you feel like learning. It's really cool. Sure, if you want to learn an instrument, 10 minutes a day isn't going to make you Jimi Hendrix at the guitar. But if you can't play guitar, it is the difference between being able to play or not, because after a few weeks, literally, you'll be able to play the basic chords and improve from that. And then I found with the skills that I've been learning is that now I can do them for a lot longer if I feel like it. There's no problem for me to go and juggle for an hour, or skipping's actually really hard work. Like I haven't done more than 20 minutes and that's kind of embarrassing in some ways, but it's actually cool. I think I will actually try doing some longer workouts with it because it's a really good exercise for traveling. I'm currently in Israel, as you may have noticed, and I couldn't really bring any equipment with me, and there happens to be no convenient gyms in Nazareth. So I can skip every day, and it's something that I can take with me wherever I'm going. If it's just for a weekend or a few months of living somewhere, a skipping rope isn't a problem to take with you, but it's a really good workout. So like a double win on that front. And after breaking through this initial barrier, you can do it for much longer if you feel like it, and you can take the skill to further levels, or you can just be happy that you can now do this thing and use it when you feel like doing it and take on learning a new skill, or you can carry on taking yourself to new challenges on that thing. So if you've learned how to do the basics of skipping and you've got a few tricks, you can start learning harder tricks after the month, or make it more difficult, like put on a backpack. So when you're jumping up and down, it's really hard work. And like with juggling, after 1 month, I could juggle 3 balls really easily. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I no longer spend my 10 minutes dropping balls all the time. I need to do something more difficult. So trying to learn tricks and trying to do 4 balls at once, which is actually a whole another level of difficulty in terms of you kind of have to juggle with one hand 2 balls going on, and then the other hand at a different time offset. So you've got like crazy things going on with your brain. And so I now spend my time dropping balls all the time again, which is a sign that I'm improving. This is one awesome thing. And then the other awesome thing about the skill break is that the repetition of doing it every day is perfect for like learning and rapid learning. So you actually want to have breaks in your learning, and you overwork yourself sometimes. So if I just try to do like 1 hour once a week of juggling, after the first 10 minutes, I'm not really going to be learning that much more because it's a new skill. And then I have like this whole break where I kind of forget things. Whereas it's the perfect amount of time for your brain to have a rest from it, but to gather itself and be ready to learn more the next day. So the rate of improvement's really fast, which is super cool when you want to be learning little things like this. It's like a really powerful growth mindset tool, which is why I'd want to be labeling as my top life hack for this year, because it's definitely increased my awareness of just the power of how many things I can do if I want to. I can look at any skill and think, yeah, I could do that if I chose that to be my skill break for the next few months. So you can literally write a list of the things you really want to start doing and start cracking on them. So my advice is to try 2 at once. No one's really defined the skill break exactly, I think, or at least I've never read about it. So I'm not sure what the common literature might be saying on these things, but normally people say try and focus on one thing, but I'm going to say 2 because it's better to have 2 different things going on and just have like once on a different thing in each day, and provides a bit more variety in what you're doing, which is really cool if one doesn't work too well. So after 1 month, I was juggling really well, but my skipping was still quite crap. Like I was jumping up and down and just hitting myself a lot and having to stop every 10. And so I actually hadn't progressed that much. But after 6 weeks, suddenly I had a weekend off, and then I came back and was like, oh crap, I can like hop from one leg to the other and like do jumpy things and like all these kind of cool tricks that like I'd seen people do. And was like, oh wow, I've cracked it. But I might have given up at the 4-week mark when I was still quite crap. Whereas my juggling balls was going really well. So it's motivating to have two different things if one goes faster than the other. And it also provides you a bit more consistency in terms of making sure that you do 2 things a day. So if you only do 1 thing a day, you might not get round to it. But if you really stick to the schedule of having 2 things in your day, it's a bit more of a, I'm a person that definitely does this. So I feel it just makes you do it more. But take it as you will. It's up to you. It's a powerful tool. And I mean, I've just invented it, so I don't exactly know what the best way is. I could try doing 3 at once. I could try doing 1 at once. I've already done it with 2. So my advice is actually quite poor and unscientific on the best strategy for the amount of skill breaks to try having. It might be best to do 3 of the same thing in a day. I'm not going to pretend to know what I'm talking about on that. All I'm going to say is that a skill break is the best life hack for this year and that you should be doing it. And on that note, yeah, I think that's everything. I might post a few videos of how awesome I am now at skipping and these things, and whatever challenge we're going to take on next, I will let you know about. And I hope that you go and do some really cool things with your life. And yeah, also the importance of just having a break from your work and letting your mind rest is really useful for having ideas in whatever you are doing. And it's really good to just let your brain relax and think from different angles of all the stuff you're processing. Even if the skill you learn isn't a skill, you don't get anything from that. You'll be getting things the rest of your life, but actually you will be getting lots from the skill, and it'll really teach you how powerful you are and that you can do lots of really cool things if you just have some dedication. And it's like a really small amount of dedication, which kind of further compounds just how powerful it is. If you were going to do something for 2 hours a day, you're like, holy crap, that's huge. I can really do mental things if I put my mind to it. I'm just really, really motivated by what I've been doing with this. So I hope it really helps you. Welcome back to the present day. I do apologize for how fast I was talking, and it was just one of the first times I'd even turned on a camera and spoken. And also the idea was pretty new concept to me. But I can say that since then, I've learned a ton of cool things, especially during the lockdowns. And it also just really opened my mind to how many difficult things can be achieved if you just start with a small digestible chunk. It might not be easy, but showing up each day to do a small amount of a hard thing is so doable, and it's crazy how much things compound. And as the great Lao Tzu said, do the difficult things whilst they are easy, and do the great thing while they are small. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. So, hope you're feeling motivated, and with that, have a truly delightful week. And if you want to enjoy your life, that starts with enjoying today. So do something nice for yourself, and whilst you're at it, do something nice for someone else too.